Hello and welcome to First Post Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Iran announces second round of nuclear talks with France, Britain and Germany in Geneva, as European parties to the 2015 deal urged Tehran to restore cooperation with the international nuclear watchdog. Israeli airstrikes hit a Gaza hospital, killing at least 15, including 4 journalists, and injuring dozens more, as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government vows to press ahead with the Gaza City offensive. China reacts to reports of Vietnam building an artificial island in the contested South China Sea, says it opposes Hanoi's construction activities on the islands and surrounding features. Hong Kong Stock Exchange delists China's Evergrande, once valued at $50 billion, following its spectacular collapse under the weight of massive debts that fueled its rise. And Cambodia's parliament passes a law allowing citizenship to be stripped for collusion with foreign powers, as rights groups warn it will be used to silence dissent and to crush opposition. Hello and welcome. Operation Sindoor was not just a military strike. It was a moment that reshaped geopolitics, redrew alliances, and even changed holiday plans. Now, what unfolded in the valleys of Kashmir has now echoed on the beaches of Turkey and the boulevards of Baku. Indian travelers, once flocking to these destinations in large numbers, have begun charting new journeys, and the numbers tell a striking tale. Take Azerbaijan. For years, Baku was marketed as a mini Europe for Indian tourists, a mix of history, luxury, and easy access. In June last year, over 28,000 Indians landed there, but in June of 2025, just weeks after Operation Sindoor, that number had collapsed to just over 9,000, and the drop is almost 65%. The shift was swift and dramatic, sparked by Azerbaijan's open support for Pakistan during the conflict with India. In fact, this turn of events came just months after Azerbaijan was celebrating India as one of its top 3 source markets. The tourism department proudly noted that over 243,000 Indians visited in 2024, which is a jump of 108% from the year before. But geopolitics has a way of moving faster than brochures. Now, Turkey, on the other hand, is also facing a similar fate. Once buzzing with Indian weddings, Bollywood shoots and honeymooners, the country is now seeing emptying arrival halls. Now, according to official data by the Turkish Tourism Board, only 16,000 Indians visited Turkey in July of 2025. This is far below the 28,000 Indian tourists who visited in July of 2024. In fact, the revelation that Turkish-made Songar Assegar drones were deployed by Pakistan during Operation Sindoor soured the mood further, along with Ankara's loud diplomatic backing of Islamabad, and soon the phrase "boycott Turkey" caught fire across Indian social media. Several Indian multinational travel companies responded quickly. They dialed down promotions for Turkey and Azerbaijan, while Indian tourists began looking closer to home, to Ladakh, the northeast, and to Lakshadweep. And the message was clear. Vacations could be reimagined, but national sentiment came first. However, the story of falling footfalls is not new. The Maldives, too, has felt the chill. Back in January of 2024, a diplomatic spat began when the Maldivian ministers mocked Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his Lakshadweep visit. a boycott campaign followed and tourism numbers sank. The Maldives then felt the tremor hard. Tourism accounts for nearly 30% of its GDP and over 60% of its foreign currency earnings. Its leaders began extending olive branches. Foreign Minister Musa Zamir visited India. Maldives Tourism Minister also Ibrahim Faisal personally appealed to Indians. And even President Mahmoud Moizu, once elected on an India Out slogan, acknowledged how deeply the Maldives relied on Indian visitors. And now the reset is visible. Last month, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Mali for the Maldives' 60th Independence Day celebrations. On social media, he spoke of confidence that India-Maldives friendship will scale new heights of progress. But for Turkey and Azerbaijan, the path back looks less certain. Numbers are dropping, trust is frayed, and social media sentiment remains unforgiving. The Maldives example shows that bridges can be rebuilt, but it takes political will and humility. Operation Sindoor may be over, but its aftershocks are still unfolding. The question now is, who will Indians embrace again, and who will remain off the map? And moving on, Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar wrapped up his 2-day visit to Dhaka. Now, this was the highest level Pakistani visit to Bangladesh in more than a decade. The plan was to mend Dhaka's ties with Islamabad, but the talks ran into a familiar roadblock, the 1971 Liberation War, in which Dhaka won the independence from Islamabad's brutal rule. Bangladesh's foreign advisor, M. Tauhid Hussain, told reporters that Dhaka had asked Pakistan for 3 things: a formal apology for the atrocities of 1971, the repatriation of stranded Pakistanis, and settlement of pre-independence financial issues. The Bangladeshi minister was clear that on these issues, the two sides are not on the same page. As for the Pakistani side, Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar insisted the matter was closed. He said the issues were settled twice, once in 1974 in a tripartite agreement with India, and again in 2002 when the army chief turned president Pervez Musharraf had visited Dhaka and expressed regret. The Pakistani leader said that Dhaka and Islamabad should now focus on trade, investment and cooperation. He called the potential for joint progress tremendous. But Dhaka has expressed disagreement. Bangladesh continues to ask for a clear-cut apology for what it calls genocide during the 1971 war, when Pakistani troops were accused of committing atrocities that killed several thousand. This is not a new flashpoint. Back in April, at the first Foreign Secretary level talks in 15 years, Dhaka had raised the same demands. But 4 months since, Islamabad has not shown any willingness to apologize for the 1971 war crimes. Now, the Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister's trip to Dhaka comes at a time of shifting regional politics. Since the ouster of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government in August of last year, Bangladesh's relations with India have faced a significant downturn. Now, that has opened space for new dialogue with Pakistan, a country Hasina's government had long kept at arm's length. During this visit, the two countries signed 1 agreement and 5 memorandums of understanding, and they pledged to expand cooperation in trade, energy, medicine, agriculture, and information technology. But despite those pledges, the shadow of the 1971 still loomed large. For Bangladesh, the war remains an unsettled wound. For Pakistan, it's an issue they say has already been resolved. With history still casting a long shadow, can the two countries truly move forward together? And shifting focus to the Philippines, Manila says that the situation in the West Philippine Sea, where Beijing's maritime forces have made aggressive moves in recent days, is now showing signs of improvement. The chief of the armed forces of the Philippines said Manila has successfully pushed Chinese vessels away from its exclusive economic zone. The latest flashpoint, the second Thomas Shoal in the West Philippine Sea. Beijing claims the shoal as a part of South China Sea, despite a 2016 international tribunal ruling rejecting those claims. Manila calls this the Ionjin Shoal and underlines it is a part of its own maritime territory. To maintain its presence, Manila has stationed its vessel, the BRP Sierra Madre, in the area. Now, in this area, Manila accused Chinese forces of laying fishing nets in violation of Philippine sovereignty. The Philippine military ordered the nets to be cut to ensure freedom of movement. As Manila counters Chinese actions, it is also preparing for another possible confrontation during an upcoming resupply mission. Now, that mission will reach the BRP Sierra Madre, a warship that's grounded at the second Thomas Shoal since 1999, to uphold the Philippines' territorial claims. A small unit of Marines remains on board to maintain a permanent presence. Now, the Chinese Coast Guard frequently blocks such missions, but this time Manila says it expects Beijing to allow safe passage. The defense of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone also comes amid joint maritime drills with Australian and Canadian forces near Palawan, the closest mainland point to the second Thomas Shoal. Manila has also found diplomatic backing from Canberra, vowing to uphold a rules-based order against what it calls Chinese aggression. The Philippine Defense Secretary has accused Beijing of gross violations of international law.
We are both countries which are deeply invested in the rules-based order, and we are both countries which seek to work to uphold that order. And we both acknowledge and are experiencing the pressure that the rules-based order is being placed under here in the Indo-Pacific. Now, we work really closely with the Philippines in terms of asserting the rules-based order in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea.
The activities of China in any area, whether in the Sierra Madre or any area under their nebulous claims, are a matter not only of concern but of condemnation, because these are in gross violations of international law.
Manila claims progress, Beijing shows defiance, and regional partners weigh in. But with tensions still simmering at the second Thomas Shoal, can the Philippines and China avoid another dangerous clash at sea? Now, in a country where stepping outside without sunscreen is practically a national hazard, an Australian skin clinic has found a way to make cancer checks less terrifying and needle-free. Forget scalpels, stitches, and that anxious wait for lab results. An Australian doctor is handing his patient something straight out of science fiction. A French-made device that shines low-intensity lasers into skin and uses artificial intelligence to spot suspicious cells.
Which means that there's no needles, there's no blood, there's no scarring. So you can see the cells in real time. We're not waiting for 7 days or 10 days for it to be sent to a pathology lab for the results to come back.
For a nation that holds the not-so-coveted title of one of the world's skin cancer capitals, that's a big deal. Many Australians avoid checkups because of the scary thought of undergoing a biopsy procedure.
It is a significant proportion of people that avoid skin checks. I avoid skin checks because I'm scared of needles.
Backing the project is the Melanoma Institute of Australia. It is running a global study to see just how effective AI can be at detecting skin cancer. Their aim is to catch the nasties earlier and to cut down on unnecessary biopsies. A professor of the institute puts it simply.
I think we'll have a lot of government looking and maybe copying what we put in place.
Of course, the technology isn't covered by Medicare yet. Governments don't move at AI speed, and it could take up to 5 years before this futuristic checkup becomes a subsidized reality. Until then, patients will have to pay out of pocket for their sci-fi skin scan. Still, experts believe that the world will soon follow Australia's lead here, and it's not just about spotting moles in Australia. AI in healthcare is booming everywhere. According to reports, the global market for AI-powered health tools in 2025 could be worth anywhere between $17 billion to a jaw-dropping $67 billion. So while sunscreen remains non-negotiable, AI might just be the new frontline in the fight against melanoma. And for once, protecting your skin won't require needles, bandages, or that familiar phrase, you will just feel a little prick. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.